Trends come and go, which is really what makes it interesting as a subject matter. Every generation usually has what trends are and what they follow. Now, very few today will argue that technology is indeed a very hot trend. Within technology itself, there are quite a number of hot trends such as social media, e-commerce, big data, and many others. The fact remains that what is trending today may not be trending tomorrow, so it is important to follow the trends and how it affects you and your business. Our topic today is Top Tech Trends of 2015, and my guest is Evangeline Wills. She is the Managing Director of Kemu Nigeria. Prior to this, Evangeline worked as a strategy consultant at Bain & Company in South Africa. She has over 6 years' experience in private equity and venture capital and investment banking in the US. And she has an MBA from the Wharton Business School. Evangeline, welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right. Today we're talking about top tech trends of 2015.
Yes.
And the very first thing I would like you to share with us is what are these trends and why should someone watching us now be interested in these trends?
Well, I think it's very important to be interested or to follow the trends, to be interested in the trends, because as a business person, this is what your consumers are looking for. This is what your customers are doing. So for you to be able to provide the best service to them and follow their needs, you have to know what the trends are. And for e-commerce, some of the top trends of 2015 have to do with, I would start with the first one, which is really about the integration between offline and online. You see consumers going into brick and mortar stores and they play with a product, they see the product, and then they go online and they try to find the best price for it. Or you see the vice versa, where they go online, they shop for a product, and then they go into the store to pick it up. So that's one of the very exciting trends in e-commerce, for example, in coming into 2015.
Okay, so what are the other trends? I mean, let's look at some specific trends and how they affect us today.
Well, I think another trend that's very, very important, especially in e-commerce, is mobile. I mean, we all know that in Nigeria, mobile penetration is about 70% of the population. But what is less clear is that only about 10% of the population has smartphones. But that is increasing about 25% per annum. So if you have a smartphone, really, what are you doing with your smartphone? Are you just consuming content, such as Facebook, social media, or are you actively using your smartphone to do business? And I think that's a huge trend that we see increasing as more and more smartphone penetration increases, because people are using their smartphones to start their businesses, to shop online, to do a lot of things. And I think that's really one of the most exciting trends in e-commerce is smartphone penetration.
Okay, so the first one is the integration between the online and the offline.
Yeah.
And the second one is the mobile growth,
yeah.
as it were.
Yeah.
So looking at the mobile growth, for example, as a particular trend, how does it affect small businesses? How does it affect businesses generally in Nigeria?
Well, I think it affects businesses in general because you have, we especially. We're trying to get people to go online, right? Because that's where, the internet, it really democratizes a lot of things. You're able to really sell your business to anyone, anywhere in the world. But now what we're seeing is like with a mobile phone, someone can have that anywhere they are. You have your phone everywhere you go. I have my phone everywhere I go. And so you're now able to reach someone not just only when they're sitting at a desktop, but everywhere they are. And so it's very important to have a presence on the mobile phone, whether that's an app, whether that's starting your website, making sure that it's mobile friendly, whatever it is that you need to do to make sure that your customers can see your products, your business on their phone is a very, very important thing for business leaders today.
Yeah, that's good. Now, but some of the other trends, for example, the growth of e-commerce and shopping in Nigeria, it's grown and it keeps growing. But then there are things like fraud that keeps threatening that aspect of business. Now, do you see that as a trend going into the future?
One thing you have to understand is there'll always be fraud. I think in business, what you're trying to do is to make it as minimal as possible. And so therefore, I don't see it as a huge trend as long as business leaders make sure that they anticipate it and they have the processes in place to make sure it doesn't happen. I mean, as an e-commerce company, what you need to do is or even as a marketplace company, you have merchants interacting with buyers, you have to make sure that those merchants have been checked. You have to make sure that those buyers have also been checked, and you have to create a safe platform for everyone to interact. So I think it's really just always making sure that you are on top of that, that it doesn't become a problem. But it's not something that will be eliminated, but you have to make it as small as possible, because that's the only way how your customers can really trust your platform.
It's safe to call you a techie, I guess.
Well, I like gadgets, but you can call me a techie if you'd like. Yes.
Okay. Now the reason why I asked that is because I like to know your take on trends like wearables and cloud computing. And what do you think?
Well, I think those are great trends, especially outside of Nigeria. I think those are like wearable devices is a hot topic, and so are cloud computing. I think for me, when I think about technology in Nigeria, across Africa, I really think about the outcome. I think about what is the impact that it will have on the average business person to be able to really increase their business, improve their lives. And so for me, cloud computing is great, and obviously will have a huge impact, but is it a trend right now in the next year in Nigeria? I would say it's not as important for my business, but I think it's something that in the future will become more and more important.
And how about wearables?
Wearables, I think, are fun, but that's for me, for my business. I'm not sure it's a really hot trend for us. Yeah, I mean, Google Glass would be really great, but I'm not sure if it's going to be something that's going to, completely revolutionize our business in the next year.
What should we expect to see going forward? Are we expecting to see more like smaller kind of e-commerce ventures, or still the bigger ones like we have today? I mean, what's your take?
I think we can expect to see, look, e-commerce is a very bit, there are very low entry barriers. So you can start an e-commerce site tomorrow. So that's, in the one way, that's great. But in another way, I think you have to have the investment to really make it big, to really, you need a lot of investment to really grow to scale. And so that's one thing that I think sometimes when you start a small e-commerce company, people don't take into account, that you really need the investment to really get to a certain size. But as far as, I think there's really an integration between the smaller e-commerce players and the larger e-commerce players, because especially if you have like a marketplace type of platform, you can have a merchant that has their own e-commerce platform, and they can also be on several other larger e-commerce platforms. As long as they're getting the volumes to their business, it's not as much of an issue. So I think I see both of those sort of working in codependently, not necessarily as separate entities. And I think another thing when I think about e-commerce is that, especially in emerging markets like Nigeria, is consumers are getting more sophisticated, and they expect us to provide better services. They expect same-day delivery. They expect
no excuse services.
Exactly. They don't they don't expect any excuses. They want it, and they want it now, and they want it to be great. And so I think that's one thing that in the next year all e-commerce companies are going to have to really step up their game to meet these consumer demands, because this is what is going to make the sector as a whole continue to grow.
What are the other trends are there to consider?
Well, I think, e-commerce in Nigeria is still a very new concept, but I think a lot of more established businesses
Our mobile app of the week is an app called AnyDo. That's any.do. Brian Tracy, one of the most respected personal development experts of today, have said that your ability to make a list of all your tasks will increase your productivity by as much as 25%. And that is what AnyDo helps you to achieve. Now, use AnyDo to set up your daily, weekly, monthly, and even yearly task. You can also get an automatic reminder anytime you fall short of any particular task. On the Tech Clinic today, we have this email from Abraham, who is asking, how do I make my website convert? Now, conversion is really what makes all the difference in the world of internet marketing. But first, you need to understand why a visitor is on your website and what they really want when they visit, which simply means that for you to do conversion right, you actually need some form of analytics installed on your website. Your analytics will tell you exactly who your audience are and what they are doing on your website when they visit. Question 2, Benga writing from Lagos and is asking, I'm a small business owner. I was advised by an expert that I should get on as many social media sites as possible. Right now, I am confused because I can't manage the workload. What should I do? Okay, Benga, you're not alone. I can tell you that I get to feel overwhelmed myself. But yes, my advice to you, yes, it's good to be on all social media sites, but please do not spread yourself too thin. Find out where your likely audience are and stick with that particular social network. It is better to be effectively present on one or two social media sites rather than to be on all the sites with little or no activity. I think that's a better thing for you to do. Feel free to send us your questions, comments, suggestions to techtrends@channeltv.com or using any of our social media sites, including our BBM channel as displayed on your screen. This is where we draw the curtains on today's edition of the show. Thank you for staying with us. I would like to end today's show with a quote from WhatsApp co-founder John Kuhn, which says, "It's not hard to sell a company, but if you look at leading online companies today like Facebook, Google, Yahoo, and Twitter, they didn't sell. They stuck around and built a great offering for users." My name is Chukwemeka Agbata, saying bye for now.